This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Dad, Katy Perry is coming to town. Can we get tickets, please?
Tickets? Sure, how many?
Well, there's Hannah and Maddie and Jen and Sarah and Sarah.
Whoa, hold on. Here it comes. We can't forget about your older sister.
Thank you.
Seriously? What? I get 2 times the thank you points on each ticket. Can I come? Yeah.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
Come on, Harry!
Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right? What?
Seriously, it's #1.
That's insane. These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13. Now playing.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the
slipping away. And if you ain't gonna fight, get out of the way. 'Cause freedom makes so free when you breathe red and white and blue. I'm giving all of myself, 'cause that's what I do. And they call me warrior. And they call me ready to provide relief and help out wherever loser behind. I will never accept defeat. I'm a soldier in war, civilian in peace. 'Cause freedom makes so free when you breathe red and white and blue. I'm giving all of myself. How about you? And they call me warrior. They call me loyalty. And they call me ready to deploy, engage and destroy. Whenever you need me to be, I'm an American warrior, citizen soldier. I'm an American warrior, citizen soldier. Citizen soldier. Citizen soldier.
We are living in times where there is an assault on sanity. Political correctness has run amok and logic has been left by the wayside. Do you constantly ask yourself, WTF is going on in this nation? Do you sometimes feel like a stranger in your own country? Well, fear not. You are not alone. This is the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Show, coming to you from deep inside flyover country with your hosts, V. Wright and Jose Estevez.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to WTF. It's Monday, and I am V. Wright.
And I am Jose Estevez. And unlike Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro, or whatever his real name is, I will not stand with the Muslims should the political winds shift in an ugly direction. And yes, folks, that's another quote of his from his book, Audacity of a Dope, page 261. Folks, we are coming to you live, unrehearsed, unscripted, and unpolitically correct, PG-13, but never PC. This is the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot radio show.
Yes, it is. And as usual, we're just here, folks. Coming on the air a few minutes beforehand. Never know what's going to happen. And voila. And that is why we do not rehearse. That's why we don't run by a script. It's because things change on a moment's notice. Senor.
And we are so awesomely professional that we can just handle it, just like that.
Yeah, just slide around on. I mean, we do good on the ice, don't we?
And there's a lot of it around. It's called global warming, I think, or climate change, or something like that. I don't know.
Speaking of which,
I
have a story.
We just segued into our first topic.
Yeah, we just did. I have a story that we were going to talk about later, but since you brought it up, I want to say, did you know that there is a reason why we have not been experiencing global warming for the last 18 years?
Why is that?
Well, we would be on a dramatic rise right now if it were not for the fact that we've had a bunch of mini volcanoes erupt, and when they erupt, it cools everything down.
Oh, so many volcanoes are to blame now.
No,
okay.
Many volcanoes are our savior right now. So instead of worrying about spending all this money on global warming, I was thinking, why don't we figure out a way for our military to create volcanoes? And then we don't have a problem anymore.
I'm sure we could create some volcanoes really easily. I'm sure we've got the tools to do it. But wait, don't volcanoes spew a lot of hot air and stuff like that, basically?
Yeah, but it's the ash and the dark clouds and all that. It doesn't allow the sunshine.
Right?
It doesn't let the sunshine in, so, we don't warm up, it would create a cooling cycle.
Are you trying to get me to have that song in my mind? Let the sun shine. Oh my goodness! I don't even know what song that is, but why did that just randomly pop into my brain? I don't think we'll ever know. Another mystery. Hey, V, first of all, I've got to say something before we get down and dirty. And boy, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, folks. Happy birthday to the man himself, Rush Limbaugh. Just got to say that. Hero of mine. Been listening to him for a long time. Remember when he had a TV show on way back in the day? That was early 90s, I believe. And he's kind of the guy that's kicked this all off for us. And we just, he's through his ups and downs and stuff like that. He's definitely the big man on the block. And happy birthday to him. And hopefully he'll have many, many more. And I know I enjoyed listening to him as much as I possibly can throughout the week. And just glad he's out there. So just want to say happy birthday to him.
This is a station identification.
Right. Absolutely. So happy birthday, Rush. Well, I'm glad you made it this week. You sound a lot better.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Well, thanks. I'm feeling a lot better. Voice is, as long as I don't have to yell or anything like that, the voice is doing well. A lot better than last week. Boy, I had a couple rough nights. One night I didn't even make it, which was to my pure shame and embarrassment. I hate that. But yeah, the one night I just simply couldn't do it. And then Thursday night was kind of rough. But knock on wood, getting better. And hopefully it'll keep going in that direction because I love doing this. And like I said, right now my voice is feeling real good tonight. So, and boy, we got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about France.
Well,
and Charlie Hebdo and Je suis Charlie. Let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on over there. I mean, France and other countries seem to acknowledge that there's such thing as Islamic terrorists, but of course, that will not be acknowledged here by anyone. As a matter of fact, an interesting note, I was listening to the commander's mouthpiece today from the White Mosque, and one thing that I found extremely interesting they kept questioning why they would not call it the Islamic terrorist. Right. And he would not address that. I mean, they're dancing all around it. And finally he goes, well, here we follow other types of extremism as well.
Right.
And I found that extremely telling.
Oh, yeah. I caught that, too, several times in repeats. And to me, it sounded like, of course, they're going after the Tea Party types and all the violent extremists they have here in the United States that they have to deal with, that they have to be so concerned with on a day-to-day basis. But there's a couple things I want to say. First of all, now, we sent along the lady that's the ambassador to France. And gee, the internet's such a great thing, folks. You can just look all these things up. Her name is Jane Hartley. And of course, she was very qualified to do that because she was one of Obama's top bundlers. Raised more than $500,000 for his reelection bid in 2012.
Now, wait a minute. Wasn't she the one that was the producer for The Bold and the Beautiful?
I don't know if she was. No, it doesn't say anything about the producer for Bold and the Beautiful. Well, it says she was a vice president of corporate communications at Westinghouse Broadcasting for a while, and then MCA Broadcasting and stuff. But she was a big bundler for Obama. So of course that was, that's the biggest reason she would have to be a great ambassador. But she was able to go there, and they said John Heinz Kerry, our illustrious Secretary of State,
Lurch.
Yeah, he wasn't able to go because he was over in India, and it's such a long flight from India to France. There was just no possible way he could make it. So my little rant earlier, and I'm just going to read it. The horse-faced, gigolo wannabe, alleged Secretary of State John Heinz Kerry couldn't go to France and say, Je suis Charlie, which of course means I am Charlie, everybody being empathetic with those folks. So many of them died at the hands of the Islamo-fascist Nazis. Because remember, folks, he can't say Je suis Charlie because he already said it back during the Vietnam War, that wonderful example of a military person that he was when he was over there. Remember the one that won all those medals for nothing and then threw him over the fence of the White House in protest? And now he's our Secretary of State.
Swift Boat Carey. Him and Jane Fonda should have really gotten married.
Yeah, maybe it would have worked out better than the whole thing she had going on with that guy that started CNN.
He didn't have enough money for her, and she didn't have enough money for him.
I think you're exactly right. Teresa Hines. That was the one for him. That's true love for him, folks. Right there. There you have it.
Well, I mean, she didn't mind raiding Ted Turner's wallet, being the moron
I
that
suspect
he
she
is.
got more than a few bucks out of Ted Turner, but it couldn't happen to a nicer scumbag either. So
Did
that's
you
just
know?
that's just my opinion. Could be wrong. You might be the greatest man in the world. But I doubt it. But okay.
Yeah, you're grasping for straws there.
So here we've got Hussein Obama, too busy to go to France to stand with folks. Do you realize how big this was? I don't know if you've seen the news. We're just going to assume you haven't seen the news. What, over 4 million people marching? Can you imagine a crowd of 4 million people sort of spontaneously showing up to do this march and stand together against the Islamo-fascist Nazis, the Koranimals, the Muslims, whatever you want to call them? 4 million people. Folks, we had Mahmoud Abbas really? Standing and marching almost virtually in lockstep with Bibi Netanyahu. Our Hussein Obama couldn't make it over there because, hold on, folks. He was really busy. He had watched a little football yesterday. And then today he had to host an international summit with the, San Antonio Spurs, the winners of last year's NBA Finals. That was his reasoning. Oh, no. Then they went on further as the day went on because they knew that the opinion out there was horrible. Even with the scumbags in the MSM were coming out against him and saying, whoa, what the heck was this all about? So then they said, well, it was because he couldn't be safe. Folks, I'm going to posit this. I'm going to put this forth out there for you, that he would be the safest one there, being as how he has supported the Islamists since day one. Remember my quote at the beginning of the show, I will stand with the Muslims should the political winds blow in a bad direction. He would have been the safest one there. They wouldn't dare touch him. He's arming them. He's facilitating what they're doing throughout the globe.
Well,
Safety,
you want to
rear end.
hear this? An unnamed White House official said it is worth noting that the security requirements for both the president and vice president can be distracting from events like this. For once, this event was not about us, and that was the reason for not sending him.
Oh, boy, what a oh my gosh, these people can spin.
And let me tell you, there were over 45 leaders from countries that made it. You know who didn't make it?
Who? Well,
Assad.
I know one.
Assad didn't make it.
Oh, all right.
Ayatollah Khomeini didn't make it.
Good point.
And Commander Khalif didn't make it.
Isn't that something? He couldn't go to be there. And now they've got all this spin, about why he couldn't be there. I mean, let's face it, folks. If it was going to go to fundraise and do a charity event to make some money, at a $35,000, $40,000 a plate dinner for the DNC, I'll bet you he could have been there the day before. He would have gone back in time somehow, found a time machine and done it. But he could not make it.
Well,
to France.
somebody in the French press said, does the American president not know we have nice golf courses?
Oh, snap. Good for the frogs. Get him. Sick him. Get him. He deserves no respect whatsoever. No respect whatsoever. What a scumbag. Couldn't go over there for this. And, of course, we know why. We know who he stands with. He said it himself, folks. That was out of page 261 of his book. We read all the quotes last Thursday. My throat as hoarse as it was reading all these quotes from this guy talking about him standing with the Muslims. And we've talked about it on the show, V. Is he a Muslim or not? I can't say flat out right he's a Muslim, folks. But I'll tell you what. He's definitely one of their biggest sympathizers that they've ever had at the highest levels of government in the United States. That's for doggone sure.
Well,
and he proves it. Over and over again.
Wait a minute. We're going to clarify this right now.
Okay.
If his father is, in fact, Obama.
Right.
A very well-professed Islamic Muslim.
Right.
If that is indeed his father, then he is, in fact, by birth, Muslim. Period.
There you have it.
We can sit here and debate whether or not he's American, and we can debate whether or not Obama his father or Davis. But If his father is indeed Obama, then he is in fact a Muslim by birth.
Isn't that well? And that's just I guess you're right. But like I said, once again, we go by actions, not by even words. And insofar as all of his words show that he stands very strongly, and his actions demonstrate that he stands very firmly with Muslims, Islamo-fascist, Nazis, whatever you want to call them, Koranimals, these people that are just have this bloodlust, this amazing bloodlust, and go after anybody.
Well, Ted Cruz
this is just amazing.
Ted Cruz says this whole situation is dangerous. He says many of our allies gathered together in Paris yesterday in an admirable display of determination. Our president should have been there, because we must never hesitate to stand with our allies. The attack on Paris, just like previous assaults on Israel and other allies, is an attack on shared values, and we are stronger when we stand together, as French President Francois Hollande said, for liberty, equality, and fraternity. And yet, Comrade Califf was not there.
No, he wasn't. Well, let's look at a couple other things, too. Once again, we already know how he is, folks. Those of you that are listening in probably have a pretty good idea how we feel, and we have a pretty good idea how you feel. And if you want to call us and talk about it, too, feel free. 313-462-0068. We'd love to talk to you about this or other topics. Once again, 313-462-0068. But let's look at a few other big happenings in the last several years that no delegation from the United States was sent to. Now, first of all, let's start out with one that people from the White House were sent to. Michael Brown, the gentle giant, the whole Ferguson thing. Yes, folks, there were 3 people sent from the White House to attend that funeral. Margaret Thatcher, Lady Thatcher, remember the pictures of her walking with President Reagan back in the 80s and probably early 90s and stuff, and how they would have these conversations and everything. And I say 90s, I know he was out of the presidency, but I'm sure they maintained their relationship, their friendship beyond that. But think about that and how amazing she was, a true female leader. Forget this war on females. I mean, think about Margaret Thatcher. No, nobody from the White House sent to that. Chris Kyle, American Sniper, folks. Some theaters, it's already out. It's coming out real soon here in the next couple of days. I know I'm going to go see it, hopefully in IMAX. Hopefully you folks will too. Chris Kyle, no, nobody from the regime sent to that as well. James Foley, no, sorry folks, no one was sent for James Foley. Remember, he was beheaded. That was a pretty big deal, right? But of course, who beheaded him? Koranimals again. Lech Kaczynski from Poland, president, died in 2010, airplane crash. No, nobody could be bothered to be sent from our regime to that. And once again, yesterday, nobody from our regime at the upper level sent at all. Just an ambassador who, of course, bought her ambassadorship by helping him get reelected by bundling at least $500,000 to get him reelected as president of the United States. So, of course, she just bought that. There's no sort of way she deserves it. Well, my opinion, again, maybe she's a perfectly great person, but she was the only one that could be bothered to be there. Just despicable.
It is actually so insulting and disrespectful. However, does this surprise anyone? Does it surprise anyone? I mean, actually, I was surprised that German Chancellor Angela Merkel made it, because she has become a Muslim sympathizer in Germany, asking those that are protesting Islamics there to please stand down and stop. I mean, she's trying to get them off the streets because of the conflicts that are going on over there between protesters and the Islamics that she has on her streets. But she actually made it.
Yeah, and you're right, V. They've been having some pretty doggone big uprisings over there, protests against the Muslims and everything that's going on over there. Let's not forget, folks, Great Britain's almost lost. There are great sections of Great Britain where they've kind of basically ceded to the Muslims. They have their own little areas that the police don't go into and other people don't go into. It's basically theirs. And that's starting to happen in Germany and all throughout Europe. So these Germans are rising up. I think one of the big ones had 18,000 people rallying. That's a lot of people for a rally. Try to get that in the United States and see what happens. But Angela Merkel, there she goes saying, no, they shouldn't really do that. This isn't something what we want. So basically, she's an appeaser as well. So we've got, what do we have here? A bunch of Quislings and Chamberlains? I mean, or do we have something more dastardly going on? I mean, you really start to wonder, are people that afraid of the Muslims and being called racist, which of course racist is foolish. Muslim Islam is not a race, so you're not a racist if you oppose them. It's not a religion, so you can't say that you're trying to deny them their religion thing. This whole thing of Islam is a strange character, folks. Don't forget, it's political, it's religious, it's everything rolled together, but what it means is submission. Submission. It is nothing at all like Christianity or any other religion. Nothing at all like that.
Well, there were two things that I found interesting. In Paris, there are over in France, there are over 750 sensitive no-go zones.
Isn't that amazing?
750. And then Feinstein comes out and says, oh, well, we have those here. You know, well, she didn't say it in those exact words, but that is what she was saying. We have extremist training here. She admitted it. And we absolutely do. There's one 30 minutes away from me.
Isn't that something, folks? Do you realize there is Islamic training grounds, small cities, walled off, so that nobody can go in whatsoever, all throughout the United States? Do you realize that? And folks, this isn't something that's happened in the last couple of years. I can remember it back to, I'm going to say the late 80s, early 90s, hearing about that. Not really understanding it at that point, much younger in my life. But I remember hearing about it that long ago already, and we're not doing anything about that.
And you think that there's some obscure place? There's one about 30 miles south of Dallas. There's one in out Los Angeles, folks.
They're all over, right out there.
They are right out there. The one that's here close to me is about 10 minutes from a military base.
Well, in my opinion, is strong, but I'm going to go out and say that every mosque could be considered one of those too. How do we know what goes on in those mosques?
Absolutely.
How the heck do we know? And there are more and more mosques being built on a daily basis.
Well, you know, the hazards are there, and anyone who at this point thinks that this mess is not coming here is deluding themselves. I think
no, it's not. It's already here.
our listeners, well, you know, exactly. But those are lone situations thus far. I mean, you know, when we come back from the break, there's another incident that occurred today, or so they claim that occurred today, that we're going to discuss, supposedly, you know, to add to the bad light. Folks, they don't have to add a bad taste in my mouth. Someone, I had a conversation this past weekend with someone about Islamics and, you know, how intolerant I am. You know what? I am intolerant. I have no use for someone who wants to destroy me. End of story.
And I don't need to have the sword at the base of my neck before I figure out what's going on, folks. It's a little bit too late at that point when that happens.
You know, I don't need somebody to come snatch up my kids and take them away and sell them in a sex slave trade to make the determination that they are my enemy. The fact that they say it in the book that they devout themselves to is enough for me. That's all the convincing I need.
Yeah. Imagine that, huh?
I mean, you know, these folks out here that are running around, oh, well, Palestinians, oh, well, ISIS, these dumb children that we're raising these days. Oh, my God, we're going to talk about that tonight, too.
Oh, we sure are.
I am going to unload on that one a little later. But we're going to go take a break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Guys, make sure you call us at 313-462-0068. We'd love to hear from you.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Over the next 40 years, the United States population is going to grow by over 90 million people, and almost all that growth is going to be in cities. What's the healthiest and best way for them to grow so that they really become cauldrons of prosperity and cities of opportunity? What we have found is that if that family is moved into safe, green, affordable housing, Places that have access to great school systems, access to jobs, and multiple transportation modes. Then the neighborhood begins to thrive and really, really take off. The oxygen of community redevelopment is financing. And all this rebuilding that happened could not have happened without organizations like Citi.
One of the things that we really try to do is to collaborate with people like Jonathan Rose, who are really like-minded and really can also provide innovative solutions to social issues.
And Citi has formed a partnership with our company so that we can take all the lessons from the revitalization of urban America to other cities. So we're now working in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and Newark.
It's branching off of Jonathan's expertise and the fact that he has done so many wonderful affordable housing projects, new development and rehabilitation work. And so we were really seeing that there was a need for his skill in areas even outside of New York.
It's amazing how important safe, affordable housing is to the future of our society.
You meet new people, they want to know what you do. And when you tell them your job is to invest in things like low-income housing and schools and healthcare, they're shocked and they're so surprised that a job like this exists in finance. They always say that they had no idea, and then they want to know how they can get a job like that.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
Come on, Harry! Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right? What?
Seriously, it's #1.
These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13, now playing.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back, everybody. It's WTF, and I'm V. Wright.
And I'm Jose Estevez. Welcome back, folks, to the second part of the first hour. Wait, that didn't sound real smooth. Sorry. Just, never mind. Welcome back. Forget that. I was trying to be so smooth, and it just totally...
Trying to be suave and debonair there.
Oh, and every time, boom, right in my face. Welcome back, folks, to the show.
Well, I got to give a shout-out. I've got to give a shout-out to my golden boy, Bradley from Princeton, and all our listeners from Princeton. You guys rock it out. We just love having you guys. So thanks for being with us tonight.
And for all of you out there, definitely our pleasure to have you, and ready for another week of broadcasting excellence here. We're looking forward to it. Lots to talk about. Hey, V, before we talk about anything else, can I go off script here for a second? Oh, wait, we're not scripted anyway. Never mind.
I was going to say.
Can I just say something something that needs to be said?
Oh, go for it.
Folks, if you don't know the name of Phoebe Johnchuk, and I hope I'm saying that right, she's a 5-year-old from Tampa Bay. St. Petersburg, that area in Florida. Folks, we're not going to forget her name. Her father, she was alive when her father tossed her off the bridge a few days ago. She's 5 years old. Holy smokes. Her father seems like a very evil person. I don't know what his deal is, what demons are possessing him at this point, but I'm telling you what, folks, anybody that would take their daughter, and I mean, I'm a father, I'm a parent, we know how things can get. Sometimes kids get a little frustrating, but oh my God, he took her, drove her around, stopped on this bridge. Now, I guess this bridge is much higher than at the point where he threw her off, but they didn't find her body for a couple hours. Of course, she was dead by the time they found her, but I'll tell you what, that's a story that, I'm sorry, 62 feet. He was at the bridge was 62 feet at the point where he dropped her in. The police were trying to get him to stop and stuff like that. And it's just, there's evil in the world, folks. And I mean, in a way, thank goodness the girl is dead. Hopefully she didn't suffer too much. I think you know the way I mean that. But holy smokes, 5 years old, dad throws her off a bridge. So another name that we don't want to forget when the kids suffer like that, that's just, it's hard to imagine. Like I said, hopefully she didn't suffer too much. But I'll tell you, that story caught my eye, and I mean, hopefully she'll get justice. I know what justice for me would be. He definitely would not be going to a trial. I can guarantee you that. But hopefully justice will be swift, and there will be justice. And
let me tell you what
imposed.
justice would be for me.
Can you imagine?
Since I'm the sadistic one.
Well, I think most of us can kind of imagine how we, how we would want to deal with that.
No, because I hear people say all the time, I just take him out and shoot him. I go out and, castrate him. No.
That's way too fast.
Yes, let's enjoy this. I mean, savor it like a good steak.
Right.
Just take your time. Ant hills. I really like fire ant hills.
Fire ants. Oh my gosh, growing up in Texas, those things are just plain wicked.
Yeah, well, they really like open wounds. I'm just saying.
I think they like anything, not just open wounds. The ones I remember, like mowing lawns and stuff like that. I mean, some of those anthills would get, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, 2 or 3 feet tall at least. And the best way to deal with them, which was a little sadistic in itself, and probably, don't tell the EPA, pour a little used motor oil and some gas down that sucker and cook it off.
But then they just
anywhere
transfer.
near it, because when they come out of there, they're mad. Tell you what, if you've never been bit by a bunch of fire ants, you don't know what you're missing.
But, a lot of times they've got those tunnels running to different spots all up underneath the ground. So they'll just, most of them will scatter, and then you end up next week with another pile somewhere else in your yard.
You better believe it.
But no, I can imagine, I know how painful a fire ant bite is. So to have them like in your eyes or nose or in your ears or in an open wound. Oh, yeah, I could get real creative.
Well, there you go. But I'm serious. I mean, this just has to have a mention on our show. Just despicable. And it seems like we're seeing things like this more and more. I'm sure it's happened throughout history, and it just have been forgotten. But it just seems like we're seeing more and more incidents like this. And there is evil in the world, folks. There really is. You can say what you want, but there is evil in the world. So anyway, let's not forget about her. And hopefully she didn't suffer too much. So that's all I want to say about that.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, these things do occur, and they, when you said that, all I could think is, probably 20 years ago when cable news first really took off. And, everybody went out and got cable, and you all instantaneously no longer got just an hour segment in the evening. And then
by Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, and then your 30-minute local. You got news all the time, and so I can remember thinking everybody was running around at that time saying, "God, it seems like this stuff is happening all the time." And I remember some of the debates was it occurring more frequently, and if it was it just because we were learning about it, or was it because the news was promoting new behavior?
And those are good points that we won't discuss here. But you're certainly right, because a lot of, the copycat thing as well, when things happen, if there's copycats out there, because everybody, especially nowadays more and more, Everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, and some people will go to crazy and ridiculous lengths to get it. It's almost a sickness that some people have, that everybody, everything's got to be public and online, and everybody wants their 15 minutes, get their name and face out there.
Yeah, and they don't really care what it's for.
And
people have no shame anymore.
Right.
Some of the things that people will go out there to get their 15 minutes of fame for, it's just, some folks just carry the trailer park with them. I'm just saying.
And that goes for all races, religions, and creeds as well.
That's not a knock on folks that live in trailers.
No, not a bit. Well, that's what I just said. No, not a bit.
I have some very good friends that live in trailers, and they're very happy, and that's fine. But let's face it, there is a liberal section of the population that likes trailers and cut off shorts and babies with diapers.
I like cut off shorts. No, not on me, of course. That's not a good look.
And no shoes and dirty feet and.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. And this is from a country girl who grew up in the woods, okay?
Right. Well, I grew up in a country where shoes, most people didn't have shoes and stuff like that, except for maybe Sunday and stuff. So, yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Well, we had a supposed hacking event.
Oh, my goodness. Did we ever?
Supposed.
Alleged.
Yeah, alleged.
Uh-huh. Funny how that works. Folks, have you heard about this? ISIS. The Cranimals in black pajamas running all over the Middle East, causing havoc and terror. And I don't say it jokingly, folks. They really are, and they're still doing it despite it not being on the news. It's out of the news cycle again. It was intense for a while, and now it's not. They were taking over, Iraq. They were taking over a great swath of the Middle East. They're still working on it, folks. They haven't stopped by any means. It's just not in the news anymore. So you have to dig deeper to find it happening. They're still slaughtering Christians, slaughtering kids, slaughtering people.
That's really amazing, because you're absolutely right. Because even with all of this mess going on in France, they're talking about France and they're talking about extremists, but they're not discussing ISIS.
No. But ISIS, they're very astute, and they want to be noticed. It kind of goes to what we're just talking about. They want their 15 minutes, and they want it, they use social media. They use TV, television, whatever they can get. They want to be out there. They want to be seen. They want people to know what they're doing. And probably so people fear them, but they want people to know what they're doing. They're very astute, so that goes along with this story from today.
Well, absolutely. The story for today is that they hacked into Central Command's computer mainframe and were able to get the names and addresses of some generals, even though some of those phone numbers and addresses were old and no longer valid, and were making them public. And they're crediting this to ISIS because somebody claiming to be ISIS got on Twitter and said, we're coming after you, we know who you are, we know whatever. The senor and I did discuss this a little bit before the show, our whole 5 minutes of prep on this, and I tend to agree with the senor in that that's in my opinion, a false flag.
I hate to say it, folks, and it's getting more and more that way, that I'm very doubtful of anything, especially that the regime comes out and seems to have very suspicious timing or circumspect timing. It's always comes down to the timing thing. And now, they've hacked the Pentagon social media accounts and CENTCOM and all this sort of thing. You know what, folks? Remember, what was it, a month or two ago? We were talking about North Korea had hacked Sony, remember? Because that piece of dog crap movie was going to come out. And, of course, North Korea was so offended by it that they were going to hack Sony and stuff. But what did we find out after, folks? And it took a good couple weeks at least. We found out that it was an inside job. North Korea had nothing to do with it. There's 6 computers that are still running MS-DOS. And are unable to get on the internet except with one of those cool little phone modems, where you actually have to put the phone receiver on it. We're unable to do that sort of job. Now, remember, it was a couple years ago that North Korea was going to start the whole world on fire. And and we were going to have to attack North Korea, and then they went out of the news, and then it was Syria. We don't hear about Syria anymore. So I started to get more and more suspicious about the timing of things like this.
Yeah, funny how Assad has not been mentioned in a while.
Right. When's the last time you've heard of Syria, folks? Except to mention that ISIS is still running rampant over there. That's it. And remember, we had to go into Syria as well. There was a huge thing on social media about military personnel not wanting to go into Syria to fight a civil war, a Syrian civil war, on the side of the bad guys as it is. And that was before ISIS had become a household name.
We armed ISIS to fight Assad's military.
Right.
Folks forget
Funny
these
how
things.
that goes, huh?
Yes.
So now all of a sudden today we have this huge thing where ISIS supposedly, allegedly, hacks Pentagon social media accounts and SETCOM and all this other stuff. Now, wait a minute, folks. I want you to think about something, and some of you might not know this. Have you ever heard of something called net neutrality? This is something the regime has been talking about for years. Gives them, I think, a kill switch to the internet as well as much more control over the internet to regulate it, to do all kinds of things, to tax it, all kinds of different things that they want to do. And now all of a sudden today, actually Hussein was making a speech about the internet and talking
net
about
neutrality.
Things,
yeah,
about
the
net
need
neutrality.
for it.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, ISIS hacks Pentagon social media accounts, CENTCOM, etc. Really?
And,
tell you what, folks,
we know that they are no more. They definitely. There's no way Central Command or the Pentagon would have higher standards of security than Sony. No way.
I mean, well, and of course it was just their Twitter accounts, and for me, Twitter is the modern day equivalent of CB radio, breaker, that sort of thing. Once again, and I know it's got some uses and stuff like that, but I mean, come on, folks, start putting your critical thinking caps on here. Net neutrality is due to come up next month. So you don't think this may have anything to do with that? That the government can best control all this stuff to protect us? Isn't that what it's always about? Big government can protect you.
Well, let's go back to what John Ernstead said today, the presidential mouthpiece. And that is, there are several. We are following other forms of extremism. And that keeps resonating in my head. Net neutrality would allow them to shut sites, websites, and radio stations, broadcasts. All of these things that we get, where we get factual information, they would be able to shut them down. Don't fool yourself.
Right. Start thinking critically, folks. Start thinking, looking at a bigger picture than what you're fed. They're very used to people being fed stuff and listening and just following along because they're so preoccupied by, let's see, the Golden Globes last night, sports, all these different things that are going on. And that's all people talk about. And some people, okay, hold on here. I'm going to say something. I myself personally have no use for sports whatsoever. None whatsoever. Maybe at a younger age when kids are doing it, helps build teamwork, things like that, but certainly not at any pro level whatsoever. That doesn't mean that there aren't some good people out there that are very conservative, that are very good people that are following sports, but I am talking about the low to no information voters that you all know and have in your families, that's all they think about, and that's all they talk about, and have no idea what else is going on in the world. So let's just get that straight.
We all know them, yeah.
We all know them. We all have them in our families. That's all they know. That's all they care to know. They're blinded to anything else. That's what I'm referring to. Once again, the low and no information voters that are out there, that are totally blinded to anything else that's going on in the world.
Well, yeah, but I mean, shit. Forgot what I was going to say.
Okay, well, but talking about this net neutrality and stuff, folks, this stuff, if it's passed, they're going to try to make it look good. They're going to try to make it look amazing. We need this. Once again, the whole nanny state thing, we have to have this. Big Brother needs to take care of us. But I'm telling you, folks, if you look deeper into it, and the information is out there, if you look deeper into it, it is very, very bad. And God knows what, look at us. We're using the internet right now to come to you throughout the world. Throughout the world, we're able to talk to you.
The other reason they do these false flag scenarios is because it brings forth an emotional response. We as people jump out in outrage or concern and start voicing an opinion before we know fact and calling for someone to take action before we know fact. Now, he's standing up there today discussing net neutrality and the need for it, and whammo, all of a sudden a government situation. So tomorrow it'll be, well, next time it could be the electric grid, and what about our natural gas systems, or, trust me, it's coming, folks.
Or wait a minute, V. Maybe it could be a video that caused the murder of 4 people that the regime lied to us all through their teeth for days upon weeks before they finally admitted that it had nothing to do with a doggone video. Folks, they do it over and over. I'm looking at social media right now, one of my accounts, and here's one of my good friends on social media saying, well, this ISIS, quote-unquote, ISIS social media hack sure pulled attention off Hussein's empty chair performance in France. Now, if you don't know what she's talking about, she's referring to Empty Chair. That was a skit that Clint Eastwood did a year or so ago where he referred to Obama as an empty chair. Some of us might think of an empty hat.
Didn't he do that at the Republican National Convention?
Sort of thing. What?
Didn't he do that at the Republican National Convention?
I think that might be where it was. I can't remember. I just know it was a couple years ago. So she says, well, this ISIS social media hack sure pulled attention off Hussein's empty chair performance in France. Boy, she's right too, isn't she? And it'll serve to do that. And once again, it's all about this net neutrality that's coming up next month, folks. You have to pay attention to what's happening, not tomorrow, not the next day. They've been thinking about these things for years. They've been planning these for years. Next month, they're going to try to get this net neutrality passed, and they're going to make it sound so pretty and so amazingly awesome that you have to have it. You have to have it. It's so good. Look at it. It's so pretty. You can touch it. It's so nice.
It will be for your own safety. It will make things more usable for you. It will just be, it will be that nice Trojan horse.
There you go. A great analogy, the Trojan horse. And what will come with it? Once again, folks, don't forget taxation. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've been taxed enough. And it includes taxes. It includes regulation. They're going to treat it like a utility, which, boy, yeah, we know how great utilities are, especially run by the government. Really? I don't know about that. Think about it, folks.
I don't know about you, but I figured up what I pay in taxes.
Oh.
When I look at my vehicle, what I pay in state taxes, because we have them on top of sales tax.
Right. What are your state taxes?
Our state tax is 7%.
Okay, ours is 6% here. All right.
But then I've got federal income, state income, state taxes, car registration, decal, all that crap, house. And when I was sitting there, like I said, sales tax, so everything I buy. And I'm one of those people who saves receipts. So anyway, as I was decluttering, I realized I had all these receipts, and I started looking at them, and all of a sudden I started paying attention to how much I pay tax. And I was like, oh my God, I really pay about 65% to 70% of my income to taxes. Once you combine it all in, and I'd be willing to bet, Senor, if you added all of yours up, you would find that you did too.
I like to sleep at night. I can't do that. I've just gotta, Although today of all days, I had to have a nice soft serve ice cream cone, and $1 turns into $1.06. It doesn't sound like much, folks, but like V is saying, add it up on all your little purchases, whatever and I know there's a couple states that I don't think have a state sales tax.
Florida does not. I do not believe. I believe Wyoming does not.
Okay.
Tennessee does not have an income tax unless you collect dividends.
Okay.
And there are a few other states. I do not believe Texas has an income tax.
I don't think so either.
So, and I think there's 6 in total.
Okay. Well, and speaking of taxes, I keep going to this. I don't know if you folks before the 8th or the 9th, whatever day it was, saw the H&R Block commercial where they were saying, come in this day they were open for 12 hours, and we'll tell you how you're going to be impacted by Obamacare, or as I like to refer to it, Obama tax, because let's not forget it is a tax that was made very clear by the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. So I mean, personally, and it's kind of sadistic again, might sound kind of mean and petty of me, but folks, for all these people that just want everything for free, and everything can be for free, the government can do no wrong, everything they do is beneficial, and it's good for us. I personally cannot wait to see what happens when, for the first time since Obastard tax, and that's what I call it, was passed, so we could see what's in it, Americans get to deal with it on their taxes. And I hope it bites a great many of them on their no information rear ends hard. Because I'll tell you what, folks, that's the only thing that's going to make them pay attention is when it personally affects them.
Wait a minute. You want to hear what the kicker is going to be is let the Supreme Court, and they are supposed to be hearing this now.
Right.
Let them kick out the subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
And make it so that nobody gets subsidies.
Like the unions and all this different thing. I mean, folks, these unions, oh my gosh, they got it so good.
I mean, they've given them waivers. They didn't give them subsidies.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, waivers.
They gave them waivers. Yep. But you wait until all these states that got subsidies that bought into the subsidized Obamacare website to find out that they cannot subsidize, and those people's premiums go to what they were supposed to be without government subsidy. And you're going to see how those 6 million folks that did sign up, a lot of them are going to drop like flies. All those folks that it was meant to help, none of those people have enrolled anyway.
Right.
They expanded Medicaid and implemented this.
The only way it's going to affect most people is when it hits them, bam, directly in their pocketbook. And there was a reason why this whole IRS thing. Now, remember, folks, your IRS, your friendly, benevolent local IRS agent is in charge of your health care. How insane does that sound? Well, as of this year, the beginning of the year 2015, the IRS is fully in charge of it, folks. So you will be starting to pay taxes. You'll have to deal with it on your taxes, even if it doesn't cost you anything because you've got other insurance and you're taken care of. You're still going to have to fill out a lot of information, give them more and more information about you. I mean, can you possibly see anything good coming out of it right now? Your IRS is in charge of your health care at this point and will be making sure that you're doing whatever it is you need to do. And of course, they made it so that 2015 was the first year it would impact your taxes, and you'd actually have to deal with it other than, hearing about it and knowing that things are happening. Because guess what? There's no more presidential election for 2 years now. And, the other election's done and stuff like that. So now, because we all have short memory spans, not all of us, but a lot of us have short memory spans, hopefully in 2 years, everybody will be over it, and it'll just be something that you come to expect. And, and of course, but every year from now on, though, further and more things will be implemented.
If you guys recall, it was supposed to have been implemented last year, but Democrats said, you can't do that. We've got to delay it. You can't do that. We've got elections coming up.
Right.
And
they got lambasted as it was, despite that. But the little slimy pukes that they are, they got it delayed one more year. So this year is the year we're all going to feel the hurt.
Well, it is going to hurt people, but
it is.
It's not, it's really the people that it's going to hurt. It's not going to hurt the rich folks with the Cadillac plans and multi-million dollars that are self-insured. They have a bond insurance where they've taken $1 million and put it in a bond, and it covers their health coverage. Period. It has no effect on those people. And all those poor folks that did not have insurance, it didn't help nor hurt them. And I'll tell you why it did not help them. Its whole intent and purpose was to help those poor people who could. They expanded Medicaid. So they brought them all in, which one would assume would help them. The White House would sell that helped, right? Because more people are on Medicaid, taxpayers are paying for their medical coverage, so they're okay. The problem is when they didn't just leave it alone at expanding Medicaid, and they made it a nationalized law for every citizen, Then all the doctors and clinics and all the rules started shutting down hospitals, clinics. Doctors started leaving the business. So guess what? In my city, when there used to be, I think, 30 some odd doctors that accepted Medicaid for the poor, there's now 2.
Mm-hmm.
The clinic that we had here to serve the poor has cut its time back to 2 days a week. It used to be open 7 days a week from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. And these were doctors and nurses donating their time.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that something?
So, there you go.
Well, folks, we got to take a break. It's the top of the hour. Bear with us. Come back in a few minutes. We'll have another full hour of the show, first show of the week. And if you'd like to call us when we come back, that number is always 313-462-0068. We'll be back in a few minutes.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
Come on, Harry! Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right? What?
Seriously, it's #1.
These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13. Now playing.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back, everybody. It's WTF. I'm V. Wright.
And I am Jose Estevez. And for V and I will say that both of us, je suis Charlie. In
Amen
standing with those folks over there in France against the Islamo-fascist, Nazi Koranimals, Muslims, murderous, bloodthirsty, cultists, suckers.
Wherever they are. Okay. Wherever they are.
Wherever they are.
That's
not just
it.
in La France. Because we know we have plenty of them in our own backyards, folks, right here in the good old United States of America, in their mosques and in their little training camps that are sprinkled throughout the United States and hopefully being monitored. But I guarantee you the last 6 years, I doubt it.
And their little care programs and their Muslim Brotherhood programs and their new political party. And what is it, Sound Vision, that's going to be in Texas next Saturday?
Sound Vision, 7 p.m., folks, outside of Dallas. Christine Whites is going to be there. You people from Dallas area, Texas, you ought to be there with her. She stood up alone in the National Cathedral against this cult. She needs some backup down there, folks, in Texas. Come on. We ought to be able to get a few people rallied in Texas against these people. Do
Amen
it.
to that.
Please do it.
Amen to that.
Give her your support.
I'm just about to lose my mind. I don't know what is going on with parents. This has been on my mind all night long. It's kind of hard to laugh because I know I'm going to get on a rant because I'm sitting here thinking about all of this. But I'm sitting here and I'm listening at about all these little 14, 15, 16-year-old girls trying to sneak away from home to go join ISIS to be a bride. They want to be an ISIS bride. What is wrong with these children today? And so as I'm sitting there thinking about all of that, I began getting angry at us conservative parents. I went to a birthday party Saturday. And my daughter has 4 children. And she does not cut the mustard. It's like, we're going to pray and we're going to read the Bible before we go to bed. And you're going to use manners. And yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir are going to be used or I'm going to pop you in the mouth. If you cry, close your mouth because you ain't allowed to cry out loud. If you fall down, walk it off. If you get your feelings hurt, suck it up, buttercup. Those are her terms. Okay? And she has a well-oiled machine running in her house. Mm-hmm. But while I'm there, now you have to understand, this is a birthday party for a 5-year-old, so of course we had to have over 40 people there.
Oh my goodness.
Insanity of it all. With the bounce house. Of course, one of my gifts was Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I had him come in and play with the kids in the bounce house, and they had the piñatas, and it was insane. But while I'm there, I'm sitting here watching these other children. And I'm watching children ranging in age from 4 years old to 12 years old talking to their parents like they're the grown folks and their parents have to do, telling them what they have to have and know they're not going to take from them and know they're not going to discipline them and know they're not going to clean, they're not going to do dishes. What are we doing? Are we developing future liberals here? Raising children of entitlement? They are so spoiled, rotten. There's something seriously wrong here, people.
Yeah, that sense of entitlement concerns me as well when I see it more and more. It's always been the thing that the parents want their kids to have it better than they did. But my parents, while wanting that, also wanted me to help me to earn it myself, so I would see the value in it and appreciate it even more, not just give me everything. That's a dangerous thing when you're just giving them everything, especially at a young age, because then they start to expect it, and you get that whole entitlement thing. V, you are exactly right, and I'm seeing it more and more nowadays.
Well, I mean, it's when I'm sitting there, I watched a 4-year-old. No, I'm not going to. Yes, you are. You're sitting there arguing with a 4-year-old.
Wow.
And I said, I would pop her on her butt. And she goes, oh, we don't spank her.
Well, of course.
We do time out. I said, well, you don't want to leave her with me because I'll tear her ass up. Because any child that gets left with me gets treated just like mine got treated. And mine got spanks. And mine did not have everything they wanted, period. As a matter of fact, sometimes I knew what they really, and this sounds cold to a lot of parents, but sometimes when I knew whatever their favorite thing was that they wanted on their birthday list or their Christmas list, I intentionally did not get it.
Oh. Well, I think nowadays the thing is too with the whole birthday thing anyway, with regard to that, is every kid that comes has to get something, otherwise. And I'm like, no. That doesn't happen.
They get cake and ice cream and
right,
the fun
but they don't need to get a bag
of
goodies or toys or presents. This is special for that birthday person.
Well,
everybody's got a birthday once a year. Maybe it's the day after Christmas, maybe it's on Christmas. Whenever it is, everybody has that birthday. So, I mean, I don't get it though. But the problem is nowadays you're seeing so many parents want to be their kids' friends and not their parent, and kids need to have a healthy respect. I say fear, but people are going to take that the wrong way.
No, there is such thing as a healthy.
There
is a such thing. Let me tell you something. There is a healthy dose of fear, and anybody that does not think that there is, why are you not out in the streets shooting up stuff and acting a fool like you think you should? Because you don't want to go to jail and you don't want to get your butt kicked. That's why you don't do it. It's called a healthy dose of fear, and my children had it. It's not that I was a terror. I didn't want them to be, trembling in terror. But then when I counted to 3, they knew I better see button elbows. That's all I better see. Because when I got to 3, I was not staying on the couch saying, don't make me count it again. But I watched a 12-year-old with her iPad, absolutely atrocious, and her cell phone arguing with her mother at this party. And her mother reached out and said, hand me the iPad and the phone. She hides them behind her back. No. Mother's like, give them to me. No, you're not taking them from me. And this argument ensued until the mother threw her hands up in the air and said, whatever, we'll deal with this later. Oh, no, if that was my child, we would not be dealing with it later. Those items would be in the floor broken until you could buy them again. Number one, you wouldn't have had them in the first place.
That's part of the problem, especially with electronics. And I just want to say out to folks out there, if you've got kids and they're of a younger age and they've got electronics unsupervised, and I'm talking about anything from little handheld gaming systems, iPads, obviously phones and that sort of thing. Folks, if you don't know what their passwords are, if you don't know what they're accessing, what they're looking at, if you don't have some control over that, you better do it real quick, because kids can get into legal trouble a lot quicker than they think. It is very easy nowadays. And let's not forget, the girls aren't fully developed until they're in their early 20s, boys in their mid-20s. Some would say probably never. Some women probably argue with that are married to them. But let's face it, folks, there are so many things that they can get in trouble. That's why we have to be there to help guide them and help them understand this. And for a lot of parents, it's probably overwhelming as well, because while you might think some things are morally wrong, you're not sure about the legality of it. Believe me, folks, a lot of things that kids can do using social media and electronics can get into the line of being illegal very, very quickly, folks. And you have that responsibility to make sure, that you're helping them to understand that. And so they're not doing it, because it's so easy to do. They're impetuous. They're kids. We were all there once. We're going to live forever. We can jump off a car. We can go surfing down the road on top of a van. We can do all these things and we can't be hurt. But they can be hurt, folks, in more ways than just physical. And especially, with girls and stuff, you need to be really careful. I don't want to scare you from all the boys, or vice versa. I mean,
but parents also need to learn the lingo. I mean, go to websites that tell you what the teen lingo is for texting. You would be surprised. You would be surprised what The word pop is the newest one. If you look at your kid's phone and it says pop, what that means is parents on patrol.
Meaning the parents are hanging around in that area or something. They want to be careful what they're saying or something like that, I'm assuming?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
That's correct. So, I mean, make yourself aware of the lingo. But more than that, I mean, not just the dangers. I'm talking about the indignation of these children. I sat and listened to a friend's kid just scream at their parent. I'm like, are you... we would have to be going to see a dentist tomorrow. What happened? She talks too much.
Isn't that something?
And folks, y'all think that, let me tell you. I've got 2 daughters. My youngest daughter told me one time, "You don't make me happy." I said, "You know what? It's not my job to make you happy. My job is to give you the tools necessary to go out in that world and make yourself happy." On her 17th birthday, because in my state, she is a legal adult at 17.
17, yeah.
She told me, "You can't tell me what to do anymore." I said, "Do you live in my house?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, let me tell you something. You want to know what the difference is between yesterday and today? Yesterday was child abuse. Today it's simple assault."
Wow. I love that. My goodness.
That's clear. So my other daughter, who towers above me by a full foot, okay, and at the time weighed a good 60 pounds more than I did, decided to tell me make her one day. Wrong answer.
Wow.
So off the couch I came. I swept her knees, threw her on the ground, I straddled her, grabbed her by the face. I said, "Do I need to make you do anything else?" She says, "I'm calling the police." I said, "Good." So I handed her the phone. I said, "When they get on the phone, tell them you need an ambulance." She says, "Why? Why?" I said, "Because I will get out of jail on bail before you get out of the hospital." And we ended all of that. I never had problems with my kids.
Right. Well, but so many parents are afraid of their kids. I think that's really what it is. And the kids sense that. And the kids, of course, are going to take that. They're going to manipulate that. That's their natural tendency, is to manipulate that. But the parents not only sometimes are doing things that the kids don't understand, it's for their own protection. Or it's, maybe trying to teach them a lesson or something like that. Hopefully that's, the reasoning behind it. And the kids don't, because the kids will say, "Why?" Well, you don't always need to know why I tell you to do something. But sometimes when I tell you to do something and stop right now, or do something right now, I have a very good reason for it that maybe I don't feel like explaining. But that lack of respect, you see it more and more nowadays in society. And that's scary for what it's going to do down the road when they're grown up. Maybe they'll grow out of it. I don't know.
I told my children, don't ask me why, because I said so. That's why. That was enough reason, because I said so. If I tell you don't go do something, don't go do it. Now, folks, let me tell you, I love my children with all my heart. I mean, everything I have done in my life has been to make sure that they had the ability to be okay. However, I will not take any static off my kids. None at all. I have earned respect. I have gone without so that they had. I have sacrificed my time, my life, and my finances to ensure that they had the things that they needed, not always the things that they wanted. And yes, I am going to demand respect. You're going to use your manners. You're not going to scream at me, because if you do, I might backhand you. I mean, and my youngest daughter, she takes a great deal of comfort in telling everybody she's only had 5 spankings in her life. But I can trust you, those are 5 spankings she did not forget.
I was going to say, it seems like they made an impression on her.
Well, exactly. I mean, but these kids today, I mean, they think they can talk to their parents any kind of way. They can do whatever. They sit here, and when they get around other kids, it even gets worse, as long as there aren't other parents around. When other parents are around, though, what I notice a lot of times is it gets better, because they don't want their friends' parents to think they're bad kids.
Right.
But we really have to get a handle on this. Stop overindulging your children. Just because you love them does not mean that you need to overindulge them. They don't have to have everything that their friends have. I raised my children primarily in a very affluent area of the country, and all my daughter's friends for their 16th birthday got Mercedes and high-end vehicles, Hummers and the like, I mean, we're talking, $50,000 vehicles. Of course, 2 years later, none of them had them. But at that time, and I heard that, oh, well, I have to have a car. So-and-so has a car. I said, good, so-and-so's got a car. You don't have a problem getting a ride.
Right.
Well, so-and-so, and I heard that too, starting at about 12 years old. So-and-so has a phone. Well, that's too bad you don't.
Right.
Good thing you don't have a car.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere. I don't know where you're at anyway.
I can kind of say that from my own life too. I had a friend, really good friend, when I was 16 in high school. His first car, my first car, and I've talked about it before, 1978 Ford Thunderbird. Love that car. Wish I still had the doggone thing. 351. My dad got it for me. I don't remember how much he paid for it, but just a beautiful, beautiful piece of American muscle. Big car, nice and safe and stuff, but good motor. Of course, we weren't worried about gas prices back then or mileage or anything. But my friend went down to the local GM place in that town, and his dad had said, go pick out the IROC Z Camaro that you want. Now, remember, we're talking 1986 here, folks. IROC Z Camaro 350. That's an amazing car at that point. I mean, for a kid. And that was his first car. And I don't remember being jealous of him. Now, I remember wanting to drive with him more, when we were hanging out, go in his car and stuff like that. But I don't remember being jealous of it or whatever. I was happy to have the car that I had. And like I said, so, talking about that, I don't know if this is even making any sense or if I'm just going off on a tangent here. But I also remember the first time he got a ticket, too. His dad went out and bought him a radar detector. My dad said, you get any tickets, you're in trouble. You're going to be paying for it. Of course, the insurance, he made me think about things like this would affect insurance and how much insurance is for this car and all those different things. And I had a job. So I had to work for what I had. I had to work to put gas in that car, help pay the insurance on that car and stuff like that. So it made it more, maybe it made it it was different for me. It was better for me in a way because I had some responsibility. That was my baby. I had to take care of it. I couldn't just go out and get another car if something happened to it, or if God forbid I had an accident or something. So I don't know. But like I said, it's totally different. Me and this other kid that I was best friends with, and just totally different how he was able to have things like that, and he never worked the whole time we were in high school. He never had a job or anything. He never had to go to work. I had to go to work. But once again, I look back and I think that wasn't the worst way to be raised, or the worst way for my parents to, make me understand responsibility and appreciating things in the world and stuff, even though it wasn't the best.
We are breeding an entire generation of those who think they deserve something for nothing. I mean, if your child is so good that they're getting straight A's in school and they're coming home and helping to clean the house or take care of younger siblings or going out and mowing the lawn, because I did that at 10 years old. I mowed the lawn at 10 years old. At 10 years old, I started cooking. At 12 years old, my mother would leave the menu for the night along with instructions to have dinner cooked when she got home from work. So that when my parents got home from work, because she only got home like 20 or 30 minutes before my dad did, which wasn't enough time to prepare dinner. I was home 2-3 hours before them. So the house had to, we all had jobs in cleaning up the house, whether it was the bathroom, the kitchen, doing the dishes, making all the beds, starting the laundry, getting the laundry done, vacuuming the floors, mopping the floors, taking care of the dogs, mowing the lawn, whatever it was. We all had those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, and God help you if you didn't come home with good grades, cry
that
to somebody else. That was a given. We reward children for good grades now? No. You bring home good grades, because if you don't, I'm going to beat your behind, and there's going to be months of being grounded. And on top of that, you're not going to college because I'm not going to pay for it. And there goes your scholarship. Bye-bye.
Right. we were talking today at work, and talking about the whole college thing, and one of my colleagues is going back to college doing online courses for a master's degree. $500. No, it was more than that. Yeah, $500, over $500 a credit hour. Holy smokes. We were talking about, well, they were all talking about making light of the fact that if, we'd all be best friends with Obama if he would dismiss everybody's student loans and stuff, and, how much the student loans are. And I said, but the problem is, kids aren't using those loans to go back to school and pay for their classes. It'd be one thing if they were. But when you go on these college campuses, you tell me how many kids you see driving hoopties, if you don't know what I mean, folks. I mean, a kind of a junker car, basic transportation type thing, decent maybe, but not top of the line new. Go tell me how many of those you see in college parking lots across the United States now. Guess what they're using their student loans for, folks? Eating out, staying in better places than they really should be staying. Not the simple dorm rooms anymore. It's got to be like a condo that they share with other people, something like that. The newest technology, phones, Apple, iPad, Air Max, whatever they're called, top of the line, expensive stuff. All these things. That's what a lot of that money. And of course, when you sign a government student loan, you say you're not going to be using it for that. Well, you say you're going to be using it for things that are directly attributable to your education, something along those lines. But like I said, go to a college campus, folks, and tell me how many people you see wearing, clothes from the Goodwill and driving older cars and stuff like that. Actually, if anything, it'll probably be some of the people that are working there, including the janitors and all your personnel that work in those places and stuff like that.
I have 2 comments on that. Number one, it can be easily equated to how many people actually use their welfare for what they're supposed to.
Right. There you go.
That's number one. And number 2, we're sitting here, this is segued into a talk about the college. And, of course, we all know that President Pandemic, Comrade Caliph, the Kenyan, is pushing for this new 2 years of college. And
community college.
Yeah, I read somewhere that someone had posted in a social network that would not be adverse to that if we could be in a better economic standing. And I said, wait a minute. Yes, you would. And they said, well, that way they've got a chance to go to college. I said, it already do. If they'd made good grades, they could get scholarships.
Right. Or sports. I mean, even if you're not, the best sports player and stuff like that, a lot of the smaller colleges, you can still get sports scholarships and stuff like that. Soccer. I hear soccer and all these different things all the time.
Scholarships. What about drama or band scholarships?
Right. Mm-hmm.
There are political organizations, if you are part of the debate team, that will pay for your... I mean, if you want it, you can get it. All you've got to do is apply yourself in school. So I don't want to, what he is saying is we're not going to worry about we're not going to worry about the people that are driven. We're going to worry about the ones that aren't. And what's going to happen? We're going to send them to school for 2 years. They're still going to come out without a degree because they're not going to do it. They're not going to apply themselves. They didn't in high school to get a scholarship. What makes you think they're going to when you put them in free college?
You're right. The more you give people things free, the less they appreciate it. And it's just going to become one of those things that, well, they're entitled to it.
Which segues back to children. If you give them everything, they don't appreciate nothing.
And there you go. And there starts the whole cycle right at that point. Giving them more and more, and they have to work for it less and less, and they don't appreciate what they have. And really what most kids want anyway is just their parents' attention, love, and affection. Parents are hard on kids. They do that because you love them, but also because you don't want them to make mistakes that might, endanger them or get them hurt. And, or maybe you've done it, when you were young and you're like, oh boy, I don't want my kid to repeat that because, maybe a broken arm or something or got hurt in some respect. You don't want them to repeat your mistakes and stuff. But that's, I don't know, V. The segment's gone fast and we could cover a lot more. Folks, we got a half hour left after the break if you want. A lot of you are parents. Call in and tell us what you're thinking and seeing. We'd love to hear your perspectives. I'm sure there's some of you that agree with us, maybe some that disagree. Heck, we invite all of you, even if you're wrong, to call. We'll talk to you.
Even if you're wrong.
Even if you're wrong, you can call in on this show. We'll take anybody.
guys.
Even
We'll
with
be,
your wrong
we'll be
wrong,
back in a
opinion.
moment.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Over the next 40 years, the United States population is going to grow by over 90 million people, and almost all that growth is going to be in cities. What's the healthiest and best way for them to grow so that they really become cauldrons of prosperity and cities of opportunity? What we have found is that if that family is moved into safe, green, affordable housing, places that have access to great school systems, access to jobs, and multiple transportation modes, then the neighborhood begins to thrive and really, really take off. The oxygen of community redevelopment is financing. And all this rebuilding that happened could not have happened without organizations like Citi.
One of the things that we really try to do is to collaborate with people like Jonathan Rose, who are really like-minded and really can also provide innovative solutions to social issues.
And Citi has formed a partnership with our company so that we can take all the lessons from the revitalization of urban America to other cities. So we're now working in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and Newark.
It's branching off of Jonathan's expertise and the fact that he has done so many wonderful affordable housing projects, new development and rehabilitation work. And so we were really seeing that there was a need for his skill in areas even outside of New York.
It's amazing how important safe, affordable housing is to the future of our society.
You meet new people, they want to know what you do. And when you tell them your job is to invest in things like low-income housing and schools and healthcare, they're shocked and they're so surprised that a job like this exists in finance. They always say that they had no idea, and then they want to know how they can get a job like that.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
Come on, Harry! Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right? What?
Seriously, it's #1.
These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13, now playing.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Welcome back, everybody. It's WTF, and I am V. Wright.
And I am Jose Estevez. Welcome back to the last segment of the evening, folks. We're glad you're with us.
And we have a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
John Klemple.
John. Oh, hi, John. How are you?
Good.
Where are you hailing from?
Well, I'm originally from Montana, but I reside in North Dakota, but I'm in Texas right now, working.
Great state of Texas.
But,
what's on your mind tonight?
Oh, I was listening to your show on undisciplined in children. I had some comments. I already posted them on the website, but there's something I wanted to share with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, I'm a grandfather.
Uh-huh.
You talk about disciplining children. You know, my boys are both decorated veterans while the youngest one is still active. But a few Christmases ago, we were at my oldest son's house, and we bought grandkids one of them leapsters, leapfrog, little game, pre-computer game for them.
Right.
And they did an excellent job of sharing the first exchange, and then after a while, the little one started whining, and my son Josh got up and took it away from him.
Well, I mean, you know, if that's what my daughter does. If that's what my daughter does, and she'll tell her. I mean, if you know, I'll say, hon, you know, sometimes I'll say, you know, hon, they're just being kids, because I remember, you know, when my kids were that little, and they grow up so fast, and before you know it, it's over. Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, I have a tendency to say, you know, hon, you know, chill out just a little bit, or they're just kids, and she'll tell me real quick, Mom, you didn't play it when we were kids, and I'm not playing it with mine.
Yeah, and I didn't say anything when he took it away. But after about, you know, and it was pretty quiet, and it's Christmas, and I'm back in the easy chair having a toddy, you know, and the one in the middle sneaks up behind me and says, Papa? I said, what? He said, can you tell my dad to give that back to us? And that was priceless. I said, no, your dad's bigger than me.
Well, you know, that's what my daughter will tell her children real quick. You know, Nana is Nana. I'm the mom. You have to come home and deal with me. So just remember that. But
that was it was a priceless moment.
Well, you know, they're wonderful. You know, children are just absolutely wonderful. And, I mean, you know, it is hard not, when you love them so much, not to give them everything that you think will make them happy. And I think a lot of what we do these days is try to make up for the divisions of parents that we have. You know, we have such a high divorce rate. You know, parents get into this competition of giving, you know, to make the child the happiest. And then, you know, other parents, you know, they just think, you know, well, my children are just wonderful. They're the light of my life, and they deserve everything that I can give them. That's not true. I mean, you know, if we had everything we wanted, everything our hearts desire, would we be happy? And the fact is, there would always be something to throw a wrench in the monkey works.
Yeah. No, we have to work for what we want.
Absolutely. Earn it. Make good grades. Do chores around the house. Get a job. Yeah. I mean, you know, I know things are different than they were.
I'm telling you, was years ago, you know. And after that, I told my grandkids, as soon as you can pass your hunter safety course and prove you're able to handle a firearm, got to prove it to me.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I did with the first two. My little one, he isn't old enough yet, so when he can prove it to me, I'll buy him a firearm.
There you go.
There you go.
Nothing better than that.
That's probably the best gift you can give them. And take them to the range and teach them how to use them, or take them out in the back 40. I mean,
they know how to use it.
Well, there you go.
That second one, last time we went out shooting clay pigeons, he beat Grandpa. I should be ashamed, but I was too proud to be ashamed.
Right.
Well, John, we appreciate you calling in.
Yes, sir.
Call in anytime.
Yeah. Thank you much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yeah. I'll sit back and listen to the rest of the show.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
You know, and it's true. It is just so hard not to indulge your children's whims. You love them. You want them to have everything that you did not have, but it is not good for them. You are doing them a disservice. You are teaching them the liberal thought process of, I deserve something, and I have done nothing to get it.
I wholly agree. That is exactly correct, V. That is exactly correct, that whole liberal mentality. Make them, and like you said, they don't necessarily have to work like slaves or something, but make them do some things to earn it, so they get a little bit of satisfaction and a little bit of pride. And this is something, and then they also equate it with later on in life, when hopefully they're working a job, and you get a paycheck, and then you got to be careful how you spend that paycheck. It seems like, oh gosh, I can buy whatever I want, but then you start realizing that if you're old enough to have a job and earn this paycheck, you're probably out on your own, and gee, now you've got other responsibilities, and teaching them all of that before they get to that point.
Well, I can tell you, and it can start at an early age. My brother is a prime example. His daughter, when she was 7 years old, the American Girls came out, and she was like, those dolls are really expensive. They're like $100, $120, something like that. And all she wanted was an American Girl because all her friends had an American Girl. He says, I'm not buying you an American Girl. You get money for doing chores. You get money when you go to Mama's house, and you get money at your birthday and stuff. You earn your money, and I will take you. And he did. He says, I will take you to the, I believe they make them in Atlanta, Georgia. He says, and I will take you to Atlanta to pick out your American Girl.
Oh, wow.
A year later, she had the money, and they went for a week to Atlanta, and he carried her while they were there. But she was only 7 years old. It took her a year. But, I mean, he made, he flat out told him, I make money to pay our bills, to keep you in food and clothes and school. I don't make money to buy you $100 gifts just because you won't. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, moving on. Now that I've ranted about people's kids,
this is something. I'm sure this is something we'll revisit. This is definitely a timely topic, and of course, the kids are always going to be around, and parents are always going to be around, and there's always stuff to discuss with that. So I'm sure that's folks. We don't just do politics here on the show. We do topical things. We do current events. Nothing's really off limits. We're not just simply a political show, although they certainly give us enough information and enough things to work with. But, we don't want to just be known as political.
Well, exactly. So. But I'm going to leave this topic with this. Okay. You cannot parent from the couch.
Agreed.
Anyway, and moving on.
Okay, there we go.
Senor.
Yes, ma'am.
I pulled this one because of you. I remember the entire incident, and it's going to touch home with you.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, 5 years ago, there was an incident that occurred that devastated, and when I reveal what it is, all of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people found themselves without homes, were in dire need, and the horrible conservative Americans in this country, along with the rancid liberals, came together and donated billions of dollars to the Haiti relief.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. 5 years later, and despite the billions of dollars earmarked for Haiti, there are still nearly 100,000 people still living under plastic tarps in displacement camps. Poverty has worsened all around the capital. There are more beggars on the street, an increase in teen pregnancy, and more people are turning to sex work. A cholera epidemic has offered further devastation, killing thousands, which was brought in by the United Nations that came in to try to police Haiti. And all those billions have gone And you would think that it's a good thing that it's gone to infrastructure and business building. But it's not helping those 100,000 folks still living under a tarp.
Well, this is something that's pretty near to me. If folks didn't know already, if you haven't been listening that long, I grew up over in Haiti. Spent many years over there trying to do some good work for those folks.
A senor from Haiti.
What?
A senor from Haiti.
Well, the other side of the island's the Dominican Republic, so it's not the craziest thing you've ever heard. Although maybe it is. But, I was afraid when Clinton got involved, and this isn't a Bill Clinton slam thing, but when Bill Clinton got involved and all these big names, and even W. Bush to some extent, that money, and it was billions, it was a lot of money, was not going to go to what it needed to. That country has been raped for a long time, and we were there under Baby Doc Duvalier, and he indeed raped that country of all the natural resources and killed people. It was a horrible time, a total dictatorship, no freedom of speech, no freedom of anything. And I was just afraid that a lot of that money was going to be spirited away to secret bank accounts, probably in the Cayman Islands, wherever else they have secret bank accounts. And indeed it has. And the people, the poorest of the poor, and those people, folks, talking about the kids and stuff over here and what they have, those people are poor, really poor. And it didn't go to where it needed to go, and we were afraid when we went over there that there was so much attention on it, and so much money would pour in, and that it would indeed, within a few years turn out that, they weren't any better off than they had been. And unfortunately, that's kind of what's happened. So,
I pulled that story because I knew your history there, but it was really sad that
it is.
Here we that's beyond what the government, our government sent over massive amounts, but we had Haiti relief, and that raised $1 billion.
I know.
And here it is 5 years later, and you still have people and the crime rate going up, and being that is of course, they are expanding the mining operations. They've built hotels, they've built roads and things like that. That in all essence, you should you sit back and think, well, that should help alleviate some of the poverty. But it's kind of hard to go to work when you sleep under a tarp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, and we saw them. I'll never forget flying in. The pilot took us over a big swath of the capital city, which is Port-au-Prince. In Port-au-Prince used to be nice enough, folks, when we were there, that tour ships, cruise ships, would come into the port, and there was also another city on the north end of the island called Cap Haitian, and they would also go up to Cap Haitian, but they would tour American and other tour cruise boats would go into Port-au-Prince. It was that nice. People would go buy souvenirs and spend the day there in Port-au-Prince and stuff like that. But I don't think that's probably happened for a long time. I'm assuming it's gone downhill a lot since we were there in the late 70s and early 80s. But once again, it's the people that are suffering, not, the rich are getting richer. And like I said, all that money just disappears. There's no accountability for it. And how can that be when you're talking that kind of money that somebody can't figure out? Somebody can't figure out where all that money's gone, and why hasn't it gotten to the people, and why does that happen over and over? Not just in Haiti, but in lots of countries where the United States and other countries donate. Where's the accountability for that money? That is $1 billion, folks. That is an ungodly sum of money. I can't hardly imagine it. I can say it, but I can't imagine what $1 billion is like. That's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, you say that. However, how many millions did Hillary Clinton lose while she was at the State Department?
Oh,
how many
God.
millions have been lost at the Pentagon? Oh, it's just lost. We lost
And it's
it. We
just
don't know where it
gone.
went. It's just poof. It's gone.
And nobody seems to care. Why don't we have people that are, I mean, look at that. They had to send the accountants after Pacino, good Lord, Scarface. The guy in Chicago, help me out here, who had the vault. Al Capone. We had to send the bookkeepers after Al Capone to finally get him on tax evasion, not paying his taxes because they couldn't catch him on anything else. Why can't we have people out there, independent, auditors, and maybe there already are, though, that go in there and audit the federal government. I wouldn't trust anybody from the federal government to audit the federal government.
Because
why can't we have people go in there and audit? I think we would be sick if we knew where this money was going.
Because they will simply say that it was a matter of national security, and that person does not have clearance to look into where that money went. And anybody that works for the government, of course, is just going to buy that story hook, line, and sinker.
Right. I mean, because folks, and and going back 20, 30, 40 years or more, all that money can be tracked electronically, where it goes, what accounts it goes in and out of, and it can be tracked. All of it can be tracked. How come we aren't demanding, not even requesting or asking, how come we aren't demanding full accountability for every single dollar that I think we would be sick to see whose accounts this is going into, who this is benefiting, where it's going. It's certainly not going for the people that need it. We know that.
It's a sad state of affairs when they have so much in the coffers and they are so adept at dipping their hand in and pulling it out that to lose $500-600 million, no big deal.
No big deal. Isn't that something? Hey, I know we're almost done with the show, V, but couple things I wanted to say. Folks, American Sniper, that movie Clint Eastwood directed, looks like it's going to be amazing. I've read the book. Hopefully you have. Everywhere, and they're not an advertiser, but I'm just going to say the movie American Sniper is everywhere in theaters on this Friday. So just FYI, if you're so inclined. I know I'm going to try to see it maybe this opening weekend. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about it on the show next week, V. And then I wanted to say something else. This is kind of in stark contrast to our comrade, empty chair, Hussein Obama himself. Guess who the first visitor was to the United States post 9/11, right after 9/11 happened? Who was the first major visitor to the United States, V? Can you guess?
What are we talking about, the Pentagon?
No. The first major visitor from overseas come to the United States to support us.
I would venture to say that was probably Bibi.
No, Jacques Chirac, president of France.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, the irony in that our Hussein Obama could not go over to France to support them against the Islamo-fascists. But of course, folks, we know that he supports them probably in more ways than we really want to know. Just sickening. Sickening.
Absolutely.
So people of France, don't judge us by Hussein Obama. Do not judge us by him, because many, many, many of us in the United States right now are standing in solidarity with you saying, Je suis Charlie, the same as you folks are.
Amen to that.
And hey, Charlie is going to put out a new book, and guess what? 3 million copies, and they're going to continue to feature Mohammed cartoons. Go for it.
Hey, I'll post them. I'll
tell you what, I think they're going to all of a sudden have a lot bigger readership than they ever had. They said they're going to have it, I think, in 16 languages or something. So Charlie Hebdo, that magazine over there in France, go for it, guys. Give it to them, man. Give it to them.
Amen to that. Guys, I want to remind you that following our show tonight, we have the Doctor of Common Sense, Mr. E.T. Williams, will be with you, entertaining you for the next 2 hours following this show tonight. You guys make sure to stick around for that. Should be a very good show. We love E.T. and just think the world of what he does. Also want to remind you guys, tomorrow night you've got Charles Kaprowitz with state legislators of the Round Table. Wednesday night you have DJ Stallion, and Thursday night you have Ruthie Hendricks with the Ruthie Report, all following this show Monday through Thursday. We're here 7 to 9 Eastern live, and so here having a good time just being us.
That's what we do, folks. We do it for you. We're blessed to be able to do this. Thank you for being our listeners and indeed our friends. And we will be back with you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Stay tuned, like V said, for E.T. Williams. I'm telling you what, folks, there is not a dull moment for the whole entire 2 hours he does that show. That's a guarantee. Take it to the bank. He's amazing. We're glad to have him on the network. He's just an all-around good guy, and he'll give it to you straight, folks, in language that you can understand. So stay tuned for him, and God bless America.
Good night, everybody.